Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
I know a lot of us are fascinated whenever we see a medium, clairvoyant, somebody that can channel spirit from the other side, wherever. And we all wonder, can we do that? Well, the answer is yes, but you need to do certain few things before you get to that point. And one of those things is called sitting in power. And we're going to dig into that today. He's got the power or the ability, the talent, however you want, the gift, whatever you want to say, to receive messages from spirit because he's perfected it. He's quieted his mind and helps people all the time with that. Timmedium is back with us. Hey, Tim, how are you?
I'm good, Steve. How are you? Nice to
I'm
be back.
well. Yeah, I'm so excited to learn more about this on how we can, I guess, quiet our mind. Is that the best way to describe it so that we can receive messages?
It is sitting in the power is exactly that. Uh, Sitting in the power is sitting in a dark room, your darkest room. If you're going a million miles an hour during the day, as we always do, contacting spirit is going to be a little difficult at that speed. We're not going to be able to, so we have to settle ourselves down. And the best way I like to do that, or is known to do that in our line of work, is called sitting in the power.
Mhm.
Now, sitting in the power is a little different for everybody. Uh, how it works for me is going to be different for you, is going to be different for the next person and the next person.
I was going to bring that up because I find myself my quiet time many times is in the morning. I'll wake up. Maybe I'll get out of bed. Maybe I won't. But I just power down and I just think. And either I'm meditating or I'm just thinking about things, but I'm also asking for messages. I'm open to it. Sometimes I fall back asleep, but I'm really consciously not even trying. Just that's my quiet time. Everybody's different. Like you say, sitting in a dark room may do it for somebody. Does it matter where you do it as long as you find a way to do it?
As long as you find the way, I would recommend, especially with new students per se, uh, because it's the easiest. Sitting in a dark room, quieting your mind. Now, going to the place where the magic is something most people don't typically understand, and that's an easy way to explain it. From leaving your left side of your brain, your to your right side of your brain, to your conscious, to your subconscious, of course, and
Tell me about
once you get
that. Let's go there. I've never heard that before. How does that work? What are we doing?
okay, sitting in a dark room, I typically use my bathroom because it's black, it's dark. I don't have any music. It's not a meditation. It's prior to meditation without sitting in the power and quieting your mind. Lots of people have a hard time meditating as it is.
Yes.
And this is basically your first step to meditation, to getting there. Uh, and basically what it is you leave your daily mind. You're sitting in a dark room, you leave your daily mind behind as best as you possibly can. And you'll notice a shift, and it'll be really unique for, say, you or for me. For me, it's a little different. I can only explain from, well, I can explain others because I've been told others. But for me, it's like I would see movies of my childhood friends all of a sudden. I would be in a completely different place and a completely different feeling, and it's really different, and that just shows me right then and there that that's where it's a very special place. Now, the longer you go, the more minutes you go without coming back out of that mindset or subconscious space is uh, it takes practice to get minutes in. So,
You described something a moment ago. I can't recall if it was left to right or right to left side of your brain where you're moving things. What's going on there?
well, the left side of your brain is your daily life, your conscious mind. It's what's for dinner, what's going on today, or what are the kids doing, or plans for next week, or plans for the holiday. When you go to the right side of the brain is your subconscious mind. That's how you get to the place to where the magic is, to leave everything behind on your left side and flip to your gradually just work quieting your mind to where you get absolutely nothing going on, and poof, you go to the right side, and all of a sudden things will start happening, and you'll start getting different impressions and different feelings and different visions and different sights. It's different for everybody. You'll be different than I will. I'll be different than somebody else will. But it's very, very um I won't say the word unique, but of course it's unique, but it's the feeling is so much different. The recognition of where you are is easy to tell that you've just left the building, sort of thing, and entered another time zone.
So
Almost like that.
when you do it, are you physically, are you thinking of your left brain and getting over to your right? When you're in that quiet, sitting in power, dark space, are you doing that? Are you physically, I'm trying to get into the zone how to do it.
I'm trying to quiet everything. I'm trying to, again, my daily life mind. I'm just trying to calm that down as much as I possibly can, not to think of anything in regards to what happened today or what's happening tomorrow. And gradually, you'll quiet enough to where you'll just go there subconsciously. You won't think of going there because then you're still here. You're still thinking. You don't want to think of anything. That is the key, is not to think of anything and just leave everything behind. And once you hit that space, that's where things start changing, and you'll feel completely different, and you're somewhere else.
Would you say it's just because this is left, this is right? Is it because we're quieting the left down so much that the right can be heard?
Basically, that's what exactly what you just said is exactly what happens. Yes,
Okay. Wow.
100%.
Because I had the visual of trying to think of my left going to the right, but no, you want to get rid of the chatter, everything, that you're thinking of. Wow. So to me, and yes, I totally agree. Many of us struggle with meditation, but this sounds like it is kind of meditation in a lot of ways.
It is. I recommend it for all my students to start right here, and that's going to allow you to quiet your mind enough to be able to meditate. It's step one of everything. That's where we all start. I believe that's where everything starts, with sitting in the power. Now, once you're able to quiet your mind enough, you'll be able to quiet your mind enough to meditate. There's stepping stones to everything in mediumship, and this is the base, the structure. Without this, you basically, there's no means of being able to get there if you can't quiet your mind enough to hear them.
And this is the stuff, Tim, that you teach.
It's exactly what I teach. Yes, that's where we start. It's step one, step two. Yeah.
Ah, and for you, having done this for quite some time, for you to quiet your mind and bring on the right side of the brain, how long does it take you?
Usually about not that long, of course. I've been doing it for quite a while. When I started it, if I could sit there for 10 minutes, I was doing great, because it takes a process to be able to sit in a dark room and to quiet your mind enough. Now, at the beginning, if you would do that, or if you would get to that space for a minute or two, you're doing great, but it'll probably take you about 10 minutes to get there. And what I recommend my students to do is if you can go to 10 minutes and then extend it 5 minutes and extend it another 5 minutes, you're doing fabulous. Different things are going to happen at that point, where you're going to of course, everybody's different. You're going to see different things. You're going to feel different things. Everything's going to change. Right? And it's not always just feeling or seeing. It's more to it than that. Some people have spirits come see them at that time. Their spirit guides per se. Yeah.
Tell me what you experience.
My experience is seeing my childhood friends in a movie type setting, and that just takes me to it. It's just another place completely, and then it starts evolving from there, and it goes into what we did, and yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty unique actually to talk about those experiences. Now that if you don't come back, because sometimes you're jolted back and sometimes you wake up quite quickly because of the experiences is new and fresh. So again, going back to the 10 minutes to the 2 minutes to where you're actually there, it takes time to work on the 2 minutes to the 3 minutes to the 4 minutes to the 5 minutes of being on the other side. So it always changes. It's not really always the same, but movies are typical for me.
So when you're working with somebody and you're doing readings, how does that work? You're not in a dark room. So how are you tapping into the messages or I guess at the right side of your brain?
Yeah, it's basically what you're doing is you're quieting your mind enough to be able to connect with spirit. And that's basically the structure is sitting in the power, meditating, and that quiets your mind enough to be able to understand, or actually, I missed a step there, but to actually quiet your mind enough to connect to the spirit world and then see who's here and why they're here. And and having a quiet mind enables you to do that.
Hmm. And you can do that now without going into a dark room and all of that.
It takes about a 16th of a second I can get there. It's very quick for me. I've done it so many times. In the last year, I've probably done 4,000 or 3,500 readings, sittings. So, yeah, when you get so many people coming, you once the person leaves, that spirit leaves with the person, and then your next sitter will come in, and then you got to redial in. It's like tuning into a radio. That's basically how it works when you're talking, connecting to the spirit, because basically what you're doing is you're tuning into that particular frequency, and that's a good way to explain it.
So when somebody's before you, do you pick up on things like where I'm going with this is somebody walks in, you're going to do a reading for them, you scheduled it, whatever, or you're yeah, I know that you tour a lot in Canada, um, so you're at an event and somebody sits before you. Do you right away get a feeling, I'm gonna nail this one, I'm gonna get good stuff, it's gonna be easy because I'm picking up that person's energy? Whereby, do you also have somebody sit there and you're like, we'll see how this goes. But I'm feeling something. I'm not feeling as much as I normally would, or from the other person, another person, whatever, random person.
I would say I'm going to put this in two different fashions. First of all, the person that's coming to you has to want the reading, has to want to connect with somebody, as opposed to just checking out to see if I can actually do the work. I can tell quite quickly if they're there just for that, because the information I'm going to get from the spirit world, if you're giving me no's, the spirit world doesn't play games, so they won't send me stuff that for no reason. So usually it's quite quick to receive. It's not I'm working with their energy. It's more so I know what their energy is, but I still have to connect with the spirit. So there's two different parts to that question, and those would be the two different parts. Oops, what's going on?
We got you. Nothing changed.
Okay.
Maybe it's spirit.
So yeah, I got no, I hit a button and I can't see you now. That's okay.
I got you.
Are
You
we
look.
still
Nothing changed. Yeah, we're still on. You're there.
okay? All right, good. Okay. Now what the so but quite easily to dial in is again it's quite easy to dial in. I need I need my sitter to bring a positive energy for sure, of course.
Hmm.
And yeah,
Wow.
so it's quite unique. It's there's two different aspects to that. Yes, I work with the sitter's energy, but I also work with the spirit, and ultimately what I'm doing is connected to spirit. I'm not connecting to the sitter. I'm giving the information to the sitter from spirit.
Do you ever surprise yourself?
Sometimes the readings surprise me quite a bit, for sure. Uh, I did one just recently, and the people drove 3 hours to come see me, which was kind of cool all in itself. When you have those experiences, you better be on because these people have come a long way, right? And so what happens is they wanted to talk to their children, and both their children in the spirit world had come in to talk to them, and they did, and it was quite moving for the mother that was here. The father wasn't a believer, but he was a believer when he left the building, and that's basically what you want.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, it was very moving.
Yeah. Had there been times where you're just not getting anything strong?
When I first started, yeah, there were days like that. Yeah, there were days where I wasn't dialed in, or I couldn't adjust the dial quite to where it was. Or sometimes, even recently, sometimes somebody will be sitting across from you, and man, there's just something off here. Yeah, yeah, not too often anymore. Very far and few between now, for sure. But there is times, yes.
Is it energy? Is it energy that you're receiving? You know, when somebody passes, they're out of their body, but their energy still is around. And is that what you're receiving or a form of it?
They Spirit makes time to come and see us. They know what's happening. They know we're sitting prior to it actually happening, prior to the sitting actually happening with myself and my client. And Spirit takes time to come and visit. And I just listen contently to the Spirit. I don't connect to the sitter. It's all the Spirit that does all the talking. And what's happening through me is I allow the Spirit to talk to me, to the sitter, and the sitter can talk back, and I can relay the messages from the spirit to the sitter. There's not too many mediums that allow questions. I'm one of the very few that actually allows questions from my client to the spirit world, and the spirit world will answer.
Wow. I this all fascinates me. I love it. And I've been looking at it for decades, decade and a half actually. More than that, probably yeah, 27 years where I first got exposed to mediums. And like anybody else, I was skeptical. I was doing a morning radio show, doing great, and they said you need to put a psychic on because it's part of a psychic event. And I really didn't want to. But I'm glad I did because that was my opener to, oh, wow, this is what they do. And it's real because I can be as skeptical as anybody else, but there's no way that I can come up with a reason why a psychic, a medium is picking up names. Like, where would you get that
Uh,
from? On the fly. And then people say, oh,
exactly.
you take phone calls, on a radio show and people are calling. Well, yeah, there's no way that that could have been planned. But I want to go back to what you said before, in that the spirit knows that you're going to be connecting with someone in their life now.
The spirit does, yes. They make time for us. They take their time out. They know we're sitting. Even when I teach class, the spirits that come in for class, because we work one on one in class, the spirit makes time for us. Absolutely,
Huh.
and it's important to have a good connection with them, because I talk to the spirit world all the time. I ask for many things from them. Say for my next reading, let's say I'll ask for a strong connection. I'll ask for very specific things, and it's very much. And what I've asked for actually happens. Yeah.
Can you ask for answers? Let's say you're going through some challenges and you want to, light shed on a situation or something like that. Is it reasonable for, all of us to just, try and connect with the spirit world and ask for an answer?
Um, they're listening. I always tell my clients they can ask, because they're right beside you. They're just right there. They make their presence felt. They'll come and visit you. They'll come and touch you. You'll smell them. You'll hear them. You'll know they're there. There's many different things. You get numbers, and it just goes. The list goes on and on and on and on and on. Right.
I want to throw this question to you because it's the one I always hear quite often. Um, Somebody will say, "Well, okay, if you get answers, how come you don't get lottery numbers and things like that?"
Yeah, lottery numbers, yes. You know what? It just doesn't work that way. I don't have an actual answer. I just know it doesn't work that way, and why they don't give me the numbers that I'm seeking, or if somebody's seeking the numbers. What they will do though I had a lady one time, and there was very much specifics that came through. There was two things I touched upon with this lady, and she says, that's fine. She says, but can I had a code with my mother. If one of us would pass and we would go see a psychic, what was the code that we used? What was the code? And so I sat there for about 7 seconds, and I asked her what pickles would mean to her, and she fell on the floor.
Wow. Um,
Yeah, and that was the code word, was pickles.
hmm.
Yeah,
Okay. Anybody who's skeptical, how you do that? Like,
exactly. I
because
know,
it's so
right?
specific. It's another situation where you're reading somebody who is Italian. All right, it's clear, and you say, "Yeah, I got an A name, Anthony, Tony." Well, duh. There's probably one somewhere in their heritage,
Right,
Okay, but a random word like, pickles.
right.
Wow, and
Yeah.
she verified it. She validated it.
100%. There was unequivocal. She just couldn't believe what was coming through, and her reading was extreme. It was extremely good. There were many things inside that reading that moved her and touched her. And then she says, "Okay." She says, "I just want the code word." And then so I just sat there for a second, and I was dialed into mom. It was her mom that had passed, and it was boom. And there it was, and there it was. That was the end of the reading, and wow, it
Wow.
was good because I had read two of her friends just prior to her sitting too, and their readings were quite good too. All three of their readings were quite good. I had connected with somebody, and they were all sitting there, so they were all and it all worked out, and it was nice. The spirits certainly came through for them, right?
How long is your typical reading?
Um, Typically, I let the reading dictate, so it'll be about half hour, 45 minutes usually. The one I did where I referred to the two children, the son, I probably went an hour and a half. Now that's a little long. I typically don't do that because energy. But when you work as much as I had, it should be okay to do that. So and both are so it was about an hour and a half, usually typically 45 minutes. So
Oh, yeah. So I guess
yeah,
it really depends on what's coming through. If there's stuff that needs to be heard from the spirit world, your job is to pass it on. So you
it
can't play.
is.
Wow. So
Yeah.
you have classes, you offer instruction on how to do this, and you also do traditional readings. And we
Yeah.
just go to your website. That's how we hook that up.
Absolutely. Yeah. Timmedium.com.
I love it because you're just a genuine guy. It's just a guy with,
Yeah.
has figured this out. Do you believe that we all can do this?
Everybody has ability. Everybody has intuition. Everybody has ability. Mediumship isn't for everybody. There's different forms of light working. So not everybody's going to be a medium, but it would lead them into the direction. I didn't know I was going to be a medium. I could always see and do, but I had no clue that I was going to do this type of work, to where I was going to connect so deeply with the spirit world for people, for them. It just developed into that through my schooling, and here I am. It wasn't that I heard of such and such as a medium. That's what I want to do. That's not how it worked for me. No, it wasn't that at all.
It sounds like it organically just came about, really, in
It
your life.
did.
Oh,
It
fantastic.
did.
The website, timmedium.com. Simple to remember, timmedium.com. Start the conversation, even if you're looking for a little bit of insight, or maybe you think that you're more intuitive than the average person, and you may even be connecting with spirit and not even know it. Um, Start the conversation. Class in session. I think it's so cool. Um, I I try to harness that ability. Working on it. I'm working on it. I know it takes time, to hear it and got to try the room though, sitting in power. That's one I haven't tried, a dark room and just intentionally be in that room and wait to receive. Try and clear out the chatter. Tim, as always, great having you with us today. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Steve. I enjoyed it.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.